Chris Wilder, I think we can all agree, is quite clearly the best manager in world football. Okay, maybe that's a touch too far for now, but the job that Wilder has done at both Northampton Town and particularly Sheffield United is absolutely extraordinary. Wilder was appointed by Sheffield United in the summer of 2016, having guided Northampton Town to promotion despite significant financial troubles, including 2 months of the season in which his players weren't even paid. A boyhood Blades fan who was born in Stocksbridge and spent 6 years playing for the club, Wilder naturally jumped to the chance to take over at Bramall Lane. It is all too easy to forget that when Chris Wilder took over at Sheffield United, the club was heading into their 6th consecutive season in League One. 5 successive managers had tried and failed to get the Blades out of the 3rd tier before Wilder came in, but it has been a meteoric rise ever since. Wilder won promotion in his debut campaign, consolidated in the Championship in his 2nd, and pipped Leeds United to promotion to the Premier League in his 3rd. Wilder's 4th season managing his boyhood club has obviously been halted right now, but having been widely tipped to go down, the Blades are remarkably in with a chance of playing Champions League football next season. I warned people against rating off Wilder's men this season, but never in my wildest imagination did I think a top 7 finish was in the offing. On his current course of trajectory, the Blades ought to be nailed on for a Premier League title next season and the Champions League title before too long. A big thank you to James Cowley, who not only suggested this video in the comments on one of my videos, but also screenshotted me an image of the comment just in case it might escape my attention and then emailed it to me. Thank you as always to anyone who sends in a video idea, and my apologies that as the channel grows I can't always find the time to read and respond to them all, but I'll always see those on videos that have the most likes. Right. That might just be the longest introduction I've ever done, and the people who whinge about long intros are going to have a field day in the comments. Anyhow, here is the starting 11 from Chris Wilder's first game in charge of Sheffield United, which was a 1-0 defeat against Bolton Wanderers, and where those players are now. George Long, Hull City. We start with a player that I know well since George Long left Sheffield United to join Hull City in 2018. The former England youth international played 123 games for Sheffield United, but he only made 5 appearances in the 2016-17 campaign, replaced by £500,000 signing Simon Moore from Cardiff City. Long spent the 2017-18 campaign on loan at AFC Wimbledon before joining Hull City for an undisclosed fee. Long spent last season as David Marshall's deputy, but he has been first choice at the KCOM Stadium this season following the Scottish international's departure. The 26-year-old has had a mixed campaign as the Tigers' number 1, impressing in terms of his reflexes and acrobatics, but dropping a few clangers and looking a little hesitant in terms of aerial balls. John Brayford, Burton Albion. Sheffield United actually made a pretty dreadful start to life under Chris Wilder, despite their subsequent success, and like George Long, John Brayford started on the opening day of the season, but not too often after that. Brayford has long been a favourite of manager Nigel Clough's, and Brayford has played under Clough in all 4 of the current Burton Albion boss's managerial stints. Brayford joined Sheffield United on a permanent basis in January 2015 under Clough, but his game time was reduced under Nigel Adkins and practically removed altogether under Chris Wilder. The industrious right-back made just 3 further appearances at Bramall Lane following his opening day selection, returning to Burton Albion and reuniting with Nigel Clough in 2016. Jack O'Connell, Sheffield United. The first player in this 11 who was signed by Chris Wilder, and also the first player in this 11 who is still at the club, Sheffield United snapped up Jack O'Connell from Brentford for an undisclosed fee in 2016. Arguably Chris Wilder's finest piece of business at Bramall Lane, and with some tough competition, O'Connell is an excellent centre-back. Formidable defensively, as well as being capable on the ball and in the pass, I said O'Connell could have a chance of winning an England cap in the next couple of years during pre-season, and he's done his chances no harm this season. If he does become an England international, O'Connell will be the second player in his relationship to do so, with his girlfriend Alex Greenwood, who plays for Lyon as a left-back, having won 43 caps for the England women's team already. James Wilson, Ipswich Town. Once capped Welsh international James Wilson was one of Chris Wilder's less inspired signings as Sheffield United boss, although he did only join the Blades on a free transfer. A product of the Bristol City Academy, Wilson arrived in South Yorkshire following 2 seasons with Oldham Athletic. Capable of playing as either a centre-back or as a right-back, he primarily didn't play at all during his time at Bramall Lane, only making 10 appearances during his 18 months with the club. Wilson subsequently signed for Walsall on loan and then Lincoln City, and the 31-year-old is now a regular fixture in League One with Ipswich Town. Chris Hussey, Cheltenham Town. Another signing made by Sheffield United in the summer of 2016, who only went on to make 7 league appearances for the club, Chris Hussey arrived at Bramall Lane from Bury for an undisclosed fee. In case you hadn't noticed, the Blades are very secretive about their transfer fees. Despite starting on the opening day, Hussey only made 11 appearances for Sheffield United, losing his spot at left back to Daniel Lafferty. Following a spell on loan at Swindon Town, which ended with a £4,000 fine for an altercation with a fan, Hussey joined current club Cheltenham Town in the summer of 2018. Mark Duffy. ADO Den Haag. Sheffield United signed 2 players on the opening day of the 2016 summer transfer window, Chris Hussey and Mark Duffy. Whilst Hussey made little impact in Chris Wilder's side, Duffy went on to establish himself as a key man. A skillful, versatile and creative footballer who can play out wide or through the middle, Duffy joined the Blades from Birmingham City following a successful season on loan at Burton Albion. He won 2 promotions in 3 seasons under Chris Wilder, making more than 120 appearances during that time, but the midfielder left under a cloud after the Blades reached the promised land. The 34-year-old reportedly drew the ire of Chris Wilder for asking for a new contract following the club's promotion, and a Premier League bow would subsequently never arrive. Duffy has had 2 underwhelming loan moves this season, firstly at Stoke City and then under Alan Pardew at ADO Den Haag. John Fleck, Sheffield United. When I said Jack O'Connell was arguably Chris Wilder's finest signing as manager of Sheffield United, the best argument against the Englishman is John Fleck. Those of you who played Football Manager way back when will know that during his early years at Rangers, John Fleck was considered a very exciting prospect within the Scottish game. Following a failure to really kick on in Glasgow, some perhaps felt as though Fleck's shot at greatness had gone, and he joined League One side Coventry City. Following 4 seasons with the Sky Blues, Fleck joined Sheffield United on a free transfer, and they don't do bargains much better than that. An excellent midfield playmaker, Fleck is intelligent, good on the ball, and a fine passer of a ball. He has made 165 appearances for Sheffield United, taking the step up in class that came with each promotion with ease. Fleck is the Blades' joint top scorer this season, with 5 goals to his name. Chris Basham, Sheffield United. As you can see, more of Sheffield United's midfield and forward options have stuck around for the long haul than their defenders, although Chris Basham is a man who was signed by the Blades as a midfielder, but now plays as a defender. Now in his 6th season at Bramall Lane, the versatile former Blackpool man can play in central midfield, defensive midfield, or at centre-back. Whilst he started in Chris Wilder's first game in central midfield, Basham has been an ever-present in every one of Sheffield United's 28 Premier League games this season, and he's played as a centre-back in every one of them. He is rapidly closing in on 250 appearances for the Blades, or at least he was, until the season was suspended. Matt Dunn, Rochdale. Matt Dunn spent 2.5 years at Sheffield United, both arriving from and departing to rejoin League One side Rochdale. Happy to play out wide or through the middle, Dunn was a pretty regular fixture during his time in South Yorkshire, scoring 16 goals in 84 games in total. Dunn rejoined Rochdale for his 3rd stint with the club in 2017, and he is now their longest serving player when one combines all 3 spells. Leon Clark, Sheffield United. A man who had never scored more than 8 goals during a championship season in about 9 attempts prior to the 2017-18 season, and then scored 4 goals in a single game against Hull City, which was a really fun day out, Leon Clark is the living and breathing embodiment of how Chris Wilder can maximise a player's potential. The journeyman centre-forward joined the Blades following an impressive season with Bury, and he was the club's top scorer with 19 goals during their first season back in the Championship. Clark is very much a peripheral figure now, having joined Wigan on loan for half of last season, and only having registered 1 Premier League appearance this season, but his contribution to Sheffield United's rise shouldn't be forgotten. Billy Sharp, Sheffield United. Just as Matt Dunn has had 3 separate stints at Rochdale, Billy Sharp has had 3 separate spells with Sheffield United. A boyhood Blades fan, Sharp's first 2 stints with the club he supports were a bit of a damp squib, but that certainly hasn't been the case with his 3rd. Sharp has firmly enshrined himself in Blades folklore, with his goals firing the club to 2 promotions. In Chris Wilder's first season, when the club won promotion from League One, Sharp scored 30 goals. Last season, when the club won promotion to the Premier League, Sharp bagged 23 goals, a tally bettered only by 3 players in the entire division. Now aged 34, he has been limited largely to an impact role this season, having scored 3 goals in the Premier League and 4 in all competitions. That is it for Chris Wilder's first starting 11 in charge of his boyhood club, but we can't overlook the 2 substitutes that day, the first of whom, Stefan Skugel, left Bramall Lane in 2017 and now plays for Carlisle United. The other, Shay Adams, made his final appearance for the Blades in Chris Wilder's first game. Within days, he joined Birmingham City for a reported £2 million, and last summer, the 23-year-old headed to Premier League Southampton in a move said to be worth £15 million. Adams is yet to score in 27 appearances for the Saints. That's it for today's video. As always, thank you all for watching. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and feel free to subscribe to HITC Sevens.